So I just saw Dev Patel's directorial debut, Monkey Man, a film he both wrote, directed, starred, and produced, I think. Now, the online chatter for this film has been quite vocal. A lot of critics are calling it the Indian John Wick, or they're saying that this film is incredible and one of the best action films ever made, or they're saying it's a very ambitious directorial effort from Dev Patel. And overall, I think The Monkey Man is a good, solid directorial debut for Dev Patel. But that being said, as a film, its narrative is a little bit to be desired. It's kind of generic. Do not take that as me saying that I think the film was bad. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I liked it. But the narrative is kind of generic. You've seen this film before. This film kind of wants to be like Indian John Wick, but it isn't Indian John Wick. It wants to have this sort of mythological element to it, but then also it doesn't. But then also it wants to talk about the politics of India, but it doesn't really do that either. To be honest, I think my main real issue with the film itself is the script. Other than that, I think the film is really well made. For a first-time filmmaker, specifically for a first-time filmmaker attempting to do an action film, this film is really good. The fight scenes are really good. Dev Patel himself does a fantastic job, and not only directing himself, but the film as well. There's a lot of good things in The Monkey Man, and overall, I would recommend you go and watch it. But that being said, I do want to talk about the story for this film, so here's your spoiler warning, I guess. I think one of the main issues I had with the script for Monkey Man is the main character. The main character itself is a guy fueled by revenge because this guy raided his village and killed his mother, and he burnt the village down because he was working for a guy that is now currently running to be the Indian Prime Minister. That being said, the problem I have with Dev Patel's character is the fact that I don't know who this guy is. His backstory is kind of generic in the sense of like, oh, he wants revenge because this guy killed his mother. That's kind of it. I know that sounds really harsh in the sense of like, yeah, of course he wants revenge. He killed his mother. But the thing that I found with it was that on paper, it's just a bit generic. Like, yes, whilst it is a bond between a mother and a son, it's kind of paper thin. Like, oh, she tells them mythological stories about Hanuman, and oh, they, like, hang out in the woods together, and they're running, chasing each other. It's kind of like, yeah, this is kind of cliche. The difference, I'd say, between Dev Patel's character in this film and John Wick is the fact that in John Wick, we kind of saw everything about John Wick before he really went into action. We saw him getting tired of the business, we saw him fall in love with his wife and then leave the business, and then his wife gave him the dog and such. And then also the fact that John Wick has his dog killed, his wife's dog killed, immediately you relate to it. I mean, not only is there a bit of emotional manipulation with the fact that, you know, the film killed the dog, but also the dog had a sentimental value. That was his wife's dog. And in Monkey Man, yes, Dev Patel's character's mum is brutally murdered in front of him, but also at the same time, I didn't know about the character himself, Dev Patel's character. His performance is great. I just mean the character himself. I don't know what makes... I think his character's name is Kid. I don't know what makes Kid tick. Like, other than revenge, he kind of doesn't really have anything going for him. He's just like, oh, I'm all sad and upset. This man killed my mother and I want to destroy him. And it's like, okay. You got anything else? Then there's this element of the film that I really like where Kid basically loses one of the fights, he falls into the water, and then he's taken to this monastery where he's healed and taught by all these trans women. And the thing about that sequence that I really liked was him kind of like spiritually discovering himself to a point, and it's all just like, oh, it's time for you to discover who you are. But the problem is, I don't know who Kid is, and Kid doesn't know who he is either. And so his big final choice at the end of the film is to go to the guy that's running for Prime Minister and kill him. And he kills him, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of obvious. Like, Kid isn't wrestling with the fact of, like, I shouldn't kill this guy, it's wrong, it's morally wrong, I should be, you know, looking for a peaceful... No, none of that. He straight up just goes, yeah, I'm just gonna kill this guy. And I'm like, yeah, that was kind of predictable. Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to the narrative, morally, I don't know what Dev Patel is trying to say, because it's very much a revenge thriller, but the character himself does not go through an arc of, like, no, I shouldn't get revenge. Yes, no, I should get revenge because I need to, I have to, but then also, I shouldn't because it's morally wrong. It's like, he's not wrestling with that. He just goes, yeah, I'm gonna kill this guy. I don't know, maybe something with the Hindu mythology could have, like, weaved in nicer into the narrative and into his character, but so far, whilst it was nice to see a bit of Hindu mythology, it didn't really do anything. Like, there was a cool trippy sequence where, like, he rips open his chest and there's, like, a portal thing and he sees, like, his past and stuff. It's kind of cool. But then also, it's not really mythologically based. It's kind of like a weird trippy sequence for the sake of it being a weird trippy sequence. Realistically though, that is just my main gripe with Monkey Man, is the narrative. Overall, for an action film, it's very ambitious. And Dev Patel really does show promise with being behind the camera and specifically directing action. Granted, there is a bit too much shaky cam for my liking. I do kind of wish that it was, you know, put on a shoulder rig or a gimbal or something. I mean, granted, this film went through a bunch of production problems, like Dev Patel broke his hand on set. One of the cameras they were working with broke. He also, like, broke a bunch of the gimbals and stuff. So, like, the film itself was kind of, like, all over the place in terms of production, and it was incredibly stressful. And the fact that this film is somehow coherent is a miracle. Like, again, props to Dev Patel for directing this. This is honestly really ambitious and really bold, and when you hear the behind-the-scenes stories, it's really impressive. Not to mention the fact that Dev Patel sells the action hero vehicle. I've always liked Dev Patel, you know, Slumdog Millionaire. I always remember him fondly as Zuko in the live-action Last Airbender film. Like, granted, that film's not great, but he's good in it. I liked him in The Green Knight. Dev Patel is a good actor, and I do think he is somewhat underrated, so the fact that he is now kind of like branching off to tell his own stories, I appreciate that. I do kind of like the fact that he just went, you know what, I kind of want to make like Indian John Wick to a point, and that's kind of what he did. That's something I really respect, an actor going, I want to play this character, and so they make their own film to do it. In many ways, I think a lot of actors working today should be doing this kind of thing. You know, like being proactive in your own craft. That I really respect and really admire. And the fact that Dev Patel just went like, yep, I'm gonna make my own action film, I'm gonna direct it, all power to him. I love that. There was one moment that I thought was really cool, but it was kind of undercut with the way it was shot, which was the kind of like final fight between him and the guy that killed his mother, where like there's the point where they come face to face and then the camera literally pans up and you see like this mirror reflection of the two of them, and I'm like, oh my god, is he gonna start the fight with them fighting and we see the reflection of the fight? If that's the case, that's incredible. But no, he cut away and he just did a standard, you know, action fight scene blocking thing, and I was like, oh, Dev, you almost had so much sauce then for a second. That was almost like John Wick level of awesomeness. But, you know, the action itself is good. The comedy is also quite fun at points too. I liked his little sidekick. That was fun. Though the thing that I did find is that there are moments in the film that do feel a bit first-time directory, in the sense of like, Dev Patel will have a character say something, but he won't show it, in the sense of like, with his little sidekick, he's like, oh, don't touch my leg. And then you find out that the guy has an amputated leg. We don't see that. I don't know if that's just because of budget restraints or something, but we don't see his amputated leg, so it's kind of just a weird line. But overall, I think that's kind of all I've got to say about Monkey Man. I liked it. It's a good directorial effort. I mean, I don't think it's as good as Michael B. Jordan's directorial effort with, say, Creed 3, but for the first time filmmaker that is Dev Patel, he did a really good job with The Monkey Man. I do hope that Dev Patel keeps making films because his first time directorial effort is really good. Granted, the weakest point is the narrative, but that is something that could be improved upon with his next film. He could get a better script with more writers and better writers, and overall he could be really cooking something really good, because behind the camera, Dev Patel has a vision. You can see it. He has a style. I really like it. I think that just when it comes to character and story, it just needs to be a bit stronger. But I do think the thing that I respect the most about Monkey Man is Dev Patel's passion, his ability to go, you know what, I want to make this story, I'm going to do it. Everything is going wrong, but I'm going to find a way to adapt and make it work. And I do think for the most part, he makes it all work. I mean, I didn't notice the fact that he broke his hand on the first day of filming, and then during the rest of the fight scenes, he's like not properly hitting and stuff. I didn't notice it. I thought he hid that really well. And aside from a couple of the extras, I couldn't tell that they shot this film in Indonesia. I thought they shot it in India. I mean, he did a really good job at hiding his limitations. I hope he keeps making films. I hope he keeps telling stories, and I hope that his next film is an absolute banger, because so far, I liked Monkey Man, but it could be stronger. Give Dev Patel a banging script, I think he'd make a fantastic film. But those are just my thoughts on Monkey Man. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you love it? I know some people are just like, oh my god, this movie's insane. I didn't think it was insane. I did think it was good, but let me know what you guys think about the film in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, follow my social media, all the good stuff. Until we meet again, see you guys next time.